Good morning to one and all. Welcome to this Monday, November the 3rd. Are we up to November the 3rd already? Stream from Crypto Warehouse. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. We have a busy show today. We're going to go through the very next reason why crypto is where it is. Okay. I think it reminds me a little bit about, the ancient Aztecs. I've talked about this before. I know I have. Where it didn't rain, so they sacrificed a goat and it rained, and then suddenly everybody sacrifices a goat and it rains all the time. I think it's a little bit like that, where people are searching for a reason why something happens. And sometimes things just happen. And we're going to get into that a lot more in the show. We've got a couple of things we're going to cover in this show. And the stream, I'm hoping, holds up today, because we have a busy day, as well as the X-Files, of course, and the articles. It is, of course, charts day. We're going to have a look at where we are in the charts. We're going to look at the usual stuff, the calendar. The American government is still in lockdown. That's a big thing. If you are an OG, and by the way, OGs, only one of you watched my video yesterday, and it's an important video because I cover what's going on right now and why maybe crypto isn't where it should be. But I've made the video about that. So we'll look at the DXY, we'll look at Bitcoin dominance again, the totals. We're then going to get into the meaty stuff, okay? There was a new interview out with somebody talking about OGs leaving the space, and suddenly everybody's on this, okay? We had Raoul Pal's M2 money supply. Everybody jumped on that bandwagon. We've had the gold lag for Bitcoin. We've had everybody on that bandwagon. And now we've got OGs leaving. We're going to go through that. We're also going to talk about boring crypto. Why it's become so boring. We'll look at the Bitcoin chart there. We'll look at Solana versus XRP. Two different blockchains. We'll look at what Charles Hoskinson's had to say about DeFi on Cardano. We'll look at Aster. And we're going to look at Tempo. See, we bring the alpha. We're not just all fun and games and Bitcoin. We're going to talk about Tempo. So all of that is going to come. If you are in chat, say hello. Okay, it's getting colder, thus the fire to over there. There's a fire. Okay, and behind me, which is there, you can see the snowy wasteland, which is crypto at the moment. So we've changed up. People like pumpkins, but only like pumpkins during Halloween. So we had pumpkins, and now we've got a cozy fire. And where else would you rather be on a Monday morning than listening to me? I don't think so. Bitcoin's coming in at 107.3. ETH is down at 3.7. That's taken a real kick in the nuts. XRP is down at 240. Solana's down at 175. Tron, yeah. Dogecoin, meh. Cardano below its 60-cent safe zone. Hype is at $40. Chainlink's at $16. Again, I'm going to keep telling you these things. These are not bad coins, and these are not bad prices. If you were to sit there in the cold light of day and say to yourself, Chainlink, the glue that makes the entire blockchain ecosystem payment system work, do you think that's an $11 billion company? I do think it's an $11 billion company. Of course I do. Do I think Bitcoin is the number one crypto asset should be a lot higher than 2.1 billion? Yes, I do. Trillion, sorry. Yes, I do. Of course I do. So these are good prices. I don't think we are overvalued. I don't think we're massively undervalued, but I don't think we're overvalued. And these are good prices. And you're going to see the same thing. You go onto crypto Twitter, you're going to see people are going to tell you it's all over. And then you're going to see the other side of the coin where people telling you these are the opportunities. This is the once in a lifetime opportunity for you to get into these coins. Buy them now or the world is going to end. You're going to see all of that kind of stuff. Just listen. Avoid the noise. Okay? Avoid the noise. James Wynn has even been claiming that he has won big, even though his profit and loss is down $27 million. Who do you believe these days? That's the question. Gainers then. ICP is up a touch. Aster is up. We're going to talk about that later in the show. Humanity is up. That'll be down again tomorrow. World Liberty Financial stablecoin. UNES, another stablecoin. I mean, I don't want to click this button. But we're going to have to. We're going to have to rip that Band-Aid off. Virtuals is down. SPX is down. File is down. ASI is at 23 cents. What's going on there? Aerodrome is back below $1. Anything below $1 on Aerodrome is a bargain. That's the new name for that token, and I do not hold any of it, which I keep telling you. Celestia is under $1. I remember when that was $20, and I was selling at 20, and those were the good days in the bear market. Okay, Celestia, I think, is probably going to be one of the next blockchains that disappears off the face of the earth. Dash is retracing. Mantle, Optimism, Say, World Limited Finance is 12 cents. Good coins. Arbitrum is down. Pith is now under 10 cents. I mean, if this is the end, it's come at a time which I would personally say is the strangest end to a bull market that we have ever seen. No euphoria, no blow-off tops, no super excitement, no BitBoy Ben coming on the channel saying that we're going to break $250,000. We've had none of that, have we? Only top signal we've seen is stupid Australians queuing around the corner to buy gold. That's the only top signal we've had. Now, I don't know who this person is, and this is irrelevant. But if we ever do have a blow-off top, this is where you will find me. You will find me in this house. Now, you might say to yourself, that doesn't look like a mansion. That doesn't look like a villa in the sun surrounded by a moat full of alligators. But listen to this. It sits between a second-hand bookshop, a sweet shop, a good boozer, and for a lot of you out there, that's a pub, and the sea. All it needs is a tired woman with a quilt, hot water bottle, and a playlist that's predominantly Kate Bush. Now we can negotiate over Kate Bush, but think of it this way: you've got the sea, which means you're going to have seafood. You've got a good pub. You've got a second-hand bookshop. This should be your goal in life, okay? Not the big shiny house with 15 bedrooms and 15 bathrooms and 16 swimming pools and all that. This should be your goal in life, okay? Because everything you need to have a good life is probably within a stone's throw of this house. And I thought this and I went, you know what? That's where I would live. And I bet it's somewhere like Cornwall or somewhere. So you are going to get English weather, but you're going to get warmer English weather. That is where you will find me, okay? If I disappear one day, I expect Tariq, Kishan, KB, Hidden to come and find me, okay? All you need to do is head to the coast and ask for the White House near a second-hand bookshop and you'll find me. I'll be there eating a bag of rhubarb and custard sweets, reading a second-hand Jane Eyre novel. That'll be me. Now, Murad. Now, as far as I was aware, Murad was going to be the saviour that brought you all to hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of gold and memes. His portfolio, which was $67 million, people are praising him for holding all the way down to $27.5 million. I would not be surprised if it breaks 20, 15 or $10 million before any kind of retracement, because he bought bags of meme coins. He was given bags of meme coins. And remember, he was the Bitcoin maxi who told you that this bull run was going to be about meme coins. And I told you all along that if you're going to buy meme coins, you have to have a range of meme coins that are going to grow. And I don't mean a meme coin that's worth $1 million. I think we talked about $100 or a $300 million base and then buy everything below $1 billion. And that was the range to get meme coins in. He went and bought everything. And now he is down, I don't know, 60%. Again, don't necessarily believe everything you're told just because you have very good facial hair and very long hair. It doesn't make you a genius, okay? Dressing like Jesus does not make you Jesus. ZEC. I don't know what we're going to call this coin. Zcash. Another privacy coins have been on an incredible run recently. I'm glad that somebody else is starting to point this out. When beta coins start outperforming the leader, it's a sign to be cautious. Liquidity is spreading more thinly and can cause the leader to weaken, causing the sector narrative to end at some point. So if you're up on any of these coins, take profits. And I've been saying the same thing. I would not be chasing anything in this sector. There's nothing in the news that explains why this has happened. Nothing at all. It just does sometimes in crypto. You have random pumps in different things. And maybe this isn't a random pump. But I'm not going to be chasing Zcash and Dash just because they've ripped to the upside. They will come back down again. The same way everything comes back down again. When something moves too far away from the norm, it becomes an outlier. And that means it's going to retrace back into the pack. And this will probably be back. I think I said it's, 260 did I say? And this will be back at 260, 280, 250, something like that. So if you have bought it at $100, $150, $200 and it's now at $400 or $380, whatever it is now, please take some profits. It's not... Somebody said in a video a few days ago that this was going to go to $10,000. I don't know what people smoke before they decide that they're going to type. They're beyond belief. Right then, good morning, Bullish. No, I've not said good morning to anybody in chat. Good morning, KB, Alpha, Hidden. I hope you are well. Bullish Bullies here. Good morning, Manjeet. I hope you are well. You don't have to apologise for being late. Just being here is as important. It just is. Now, DeFi protocol Balancer appears to have been exploited for $70 million. This is breaking news. I'm not sure if anybody out there has funds on Balancer, and I'm not spreading FUD. This is a fact. It's been announced by several security firms on X. Go and check if you've got funds on Balancer. Go and check and maybe go and check these things out. But these things happen. They break. They come. They go. It's one of the things that we cover when we talk about DeFi protocols is we talk about contract risk. And contract risk is basically there are always going to be opportunities for contracts to be exploited. And we've had so many examples of these things in past. We've had wormhole exploits where you put your money in one end expecting to get it out the other end and it never appears because somebody's stolen it. We've had the flash loans where they basically can steal your funds from the loans. We've had exploits in various different DeFi protocols on multiple different blockchains. Hackers are chain agnostic. They will go anywhere, whether it be Ethereum, whether it be Solana. And that's the risk you take. The risk you take of being on a centralized exchange is that centralized exchange disappears. The risk you have of being in DeFi is that your funds disappear. The risk you have of having your funds in a hot wallet is that you will get compromised, click on the wrong link and it's gone. Everything comes with a risk. Okay? Everything comes with a risk. You just need to decide how you want to weigh up those risks. Now, this is what is happening this week. Now, again, one of the things we're going to talk about in a minute is the fact that we still have the government shutdown. Congress still hasn't agreed to the budget. And we said this on Friday. The Democrats are saying this is the only chance they've got to nail Trump. My personal opinion is you should be working for the benefit of the people who elected you, but that's just my personal opinion. Monday, nothing really. Tuesday, consumer confidence, not really. Don't we have a... Actually, that's not this week. This is this week. Okay, here we go. I thought we had CPI this week or something, don't we? Don't we have CPI or something coming in? One day? Maybe it's not. I thought we had CPI or PCE this week, but apparently we do not. Trade deficit, yeah. Factory job openings, maybe. Yeah, not really that much there. Productivity, wholesale. There's a lot of nothing, I would say, coming out this week. So I wouldn't worry too much about this week. I don't think the news is really going to hurt us an awful lot. Something we're going to keep an eye on as well is the DXY. How are we doing with the DXY? Again, I'm going to skip over a lot of this because we cover it every week. It doesn't change that much from week to week. We spent a lot more time covering this when it was a lot more volatile than it is now. We drew this, did we not? And we kind of called a rough area where we're going. We've got a little set of arrows, and look at that. I suppose we do have this to talk about. We can get rid of this arrow now and the other arrow. And that is this. We have been talking about the DXY. Pretty much did not far off what we said, wasn't it? Which is basically it needs to get back above its own little moving average bull market support band, and then it needs to go on to higher. My target is here, which is 100. We're at 99.9. Give me a break. I think we're going to go to 100. What is this? This is the strength of the dollar against a basket of other assets, the euro, the pound, the yen, all of those kind of things. So how well is the dollar doing against other assets? That's what it's all about. And this is more of a trend. It is not something that the entire crypto space can base itself on. Another trend, which is probably more weighty in terms of importance, is the Bitcoin dominance chart. And we've drawn our own little trend line on Bitcoin dominance. Ever since we crashed down on Bitcoin dominance, we bottomed. You can see my lovely, lovely red, curvy, voluptuous bottom there. Look at that. We curved around. And what have we done? We have come to what I kind of said was going to be the point where we break up or we break down. And that is where we get the end of this month and we get basically the moving average of the DXY, which, again, lots of people can disagree with. We don't need to look at these things. But, I mean, it plays out. Now, what we've got here is we have got Bitcoin dominance starting to break in to its moving average. What does that mean? It means that this trend that started way back at the bottom when everybody thought we were going to be rich, which started at the beginning, middle of September. So we've had we're heading into our second month of this upward incline. We've started to fall a little bit behind the trend, but we're starting to catch up with it now. I would say we need to get into this area here, which is probably about 60.5. And then we're above that bull market support band. Now, there is nothing to indicate that this is going to stop. Bitcoin is king. As long as these numbers keep going up, your alts are not going to move. Whether I like that or whether you like that or not, Bitcoin dominance is going up. Bitcoin is more and more of the entire crypto space as we go through these weeks. And what I mean by that is that it is now over 60% of the entire market cap of crypto is in Bitcoin. When we were down here, when we bottomed at 57.5%. So it's gained a whole 2.5 percentage points in 2 months. There is nothing to indicate this is going to break down. The only thing I would say is that it gets rejected here and then comes down. But what in the market is going to make Bitcoin dominance break down when everything is currently about Bitcoin? And that's what we're going to talk about when we get to the news in a minute. I don't see it breaking down. And for the alts to run, it needs to break down. That is the very hard fact, because clearly for alts to go up, they need to outperform Bitcoin. And what this chart is showing you here is, very simply put, Bitcoin has outperformed the entire crypto market for almost 2 whole months, pretty much. And when we had that flash liquidation, which asset didn't lose as much as everything else? Bitcoin. Talked about this on Friday as well. I'm not going to cover it again. Keep an eye on this. Keep an eye on this. I only do this once a week. When we start to see that breaking down, we will then start to see the alts have a run. Until that breaks down, we have no run. And again, if we want to talk about alt season in comparison to 2021 and 2017, we're not seeing Bitcoin dominance breaking down sufficiently enough for us to actually get anywhere. Now, this is the entire Bitcoin market. Oh no, sorry, this is the wrong one. This is not the one we want to look at. This is the one we want to look at. Hang on a second, let's close that down. Let's get rid of that. Right, that is excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. We don't want to look at this one. We want to look at this one. This is the total market cap of crypto. Now, this goes back, or we can make it go back as far as you want, but look at where we are. We have struggled, if I get rid of my fake prediction there, we have struggled to get above this level here, which is 4.1. We've also struggled at 4 trillion market cap. We're at 3.56 trillion. We've fallen below the bull market support band. Okay, none of these are great. We've broken below this trend line. We've broken below here. We've been rejected off whichever one of these targets, 4 trillion you want to look at. Okay, we are finding resistance on the total market cap of crypto. Now, my target, which I have set 2.5 years ago, was 6 to 10 trillion. We have struggled to break 4. So if you go off my prediction, we've still got another 50% move to the upside. We don't look like we're moving to the upside right now. We don't look like we're having alt season right now. We don't look like we're getting to the end of the bull run right now. And what I'm going to cover in a second is what other people now believe is going to be the end of the bull run and why we are where we are. Now, we're not going to cover any more of this because I don't want to go on too much. We're going to do the Bitcoin charts in a minute. Now, I haven't done a lot of reading about this because whenever somebody comes up with an idea of where we are that we've never heard before, it's normally a made-up idea. As in, people can't think of why something has happened, so they have to kind of find a reason why it happened. And Americans are really good at this. Americans have to have a reason why something has happened. And that reason is normally what they clutch onto. It's like trying to find a suspect in a crime. In a criminal investigation, you have to have a suspect. Who are the suspects? It's the first thing a detective always asks. Oh, the mother, the father, the brother, the sister, whoever it might be. So there has to be a reason why we're not at $200,000. And we've tried loads. Raoul Powell, I've watched one of his videos over the weekend. Very good video. You can't discount somebody because they're wrong on a particular point. You have to take on board their knowledge. They are way more knowledgeable about stuff than we are. People who call him names on crypto Twitter, I think, show their ignorance. You should take on board as much knowledge and information from everybody you can and then make your own informed decision. But he's been talking about the money supply lag. Then it was the gold. Spoke about this at the start. Now we have another one. Now this is Jordi Weiser. Don't know who this guy is. But he's probably somebody really, really important that I should know, but I don't know who he is. He was on an interview and he was talking about the fact that OGs are basically the people that are selling and they are out of the market. And that is what he said. Now, before I read this, I put up this post because Eric said, why do you think OGs are leaving? So I put this up, and these are my words, not anybody else's. I loved the birth of the internet, the vibe, the people, the fact that we were building the future. It was amazing to go to conferences, meet futurists, nerds, tech heads. All of a sudden, it worked. The internet was here. It was never the same. We had won. I feel the same way now. Now, I can say this with 2020 hindsight, and I can say this with rose-tinted spectacles because I was there when this happened. And we fought against everybody. We fought against the banks. We fought against people calling it a scam. We fought against people saying it was never going to work. We fought against people that said there was no utility. Does any of that sound familiar? Does any of that sound familiar? It sounds familiar because we've gone through exactly the same thing now. And I have the same feeling, which is we have won. But we haven't won in the way that we wanted to win. And this is what I was saying all along as well. You can win in crypto and in life and everything else. You can win. But your victory is never the victory that you want, which sounds crazy. We wanted the internet to win and become this massive knowledge base for people to share information, to accelerate scientific growth, to accelerate communication, put long-lost families together on the likes of Facebook. Before Facebook, we had GeoCities and we had AngelFire. We had Alta Vista. We had, I was actually at one point in charge of adding websites to a search engine 20 years ago. We built everything. We built our own company. And then we won because people were all using the internet. But it wasn't the real victory that we wanted because then the suits came in. The men in suits I always talk about on here. The men in suits come in and the men in suits have money and they buy everything. Or advertising space, they buy up companies. They shut companies down that compete with them and they take their staff and give them payoffs and they take over. They're like the bullies in the playground. And we're at the same point now where the internet, for me, lost excitement and became a job. And that's what happened in about 2002, 2003 is where it started to change. Yes, we had the Bitcoin bubble whenever that was, but that wasn't really as bad as everybody makes out. People talk about this Bitcoin bubble, crypto bubble, no, internet bubble, as if it was this massive thing. It really wasn't. It was nowhere near the scale that crypto's at now. We had companies go bust, of course we did, but they didn't lose trillions and trillions of dollars. So I feel the same way now. It's great. We've all won, and you are all going to be a lot wealthier than you are now. But it's not the same. And it's getting more of not the same as the weeks go by. Cynthia Lummis, in charge of the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, she works for the American government. Donald Trump and his entire family are elbow deep in crypto. We have nation states buying Bitcoin. We have companies setting up treasuries on coins that shouldn't have treasuries. It's all here. We've won. Now, how does that victory feel to you? because for me, it feels hollow. For me, I don't feel like we've won anything. All we've done is get crypto to the point where it's got the attention of the men in suits, and now the men in suits have taken over. And the men in suits will take their pound of flesh. We always knew that was going to happen, by the way. It's not the point, well, we're some kind of revolutionary force that's going to take over and change the world. The men in suits always win. And that's the one thing that you need to understand about this. They'll always win, but it doesn't mean I should enjoy it as much as I did 2.5 years ago when we were getting irate about Gary Gensler. We've got a different period. And the one thing I will say is this is so much faster than the internet. The internet took a very long time to get market penetration. Then, of course, the mobile phone came out and the smartphone came out, and then everybody had the internet, and that was the final breakthrough. Crypto's broken through, and it's broken through a lot faster and a lot quicker than people thought. But it's not fun. Now, going back to the original point about the OGs, and the OGs are selling. Why are the OGs selling? I think predominantly because they've held from $100 and $1,000. And I think they are seeing the adoption of crypto and Bitcoin in a way that they didn't expect to see it. I think they've seen crypto get adopted in the same way another financial product would get adopted, and that's not what they want. You've got to remember, these people were buying Bitcoin at $1 when the market cap of Bitcoin was $20 million or $40 million or something like that. That's when they were buying their Bitcoin, and they were giving it away on faucets and giving it away to the friends. And now they've seen Larry Fink stand there with his suit, smugly saying that Bitcoin is the future, and it probably sickens them a little bit, because Bitcoin was created to solve the very problem that's now going to be created yet again by the ETFs, which is it will probably get over leveraged at some point in the future, and Bitcoin will be headed for an absolutely massive crash. But of course it will recover over time, of course it will, and that massive crash isn't likely to happen for a very long time. So I think they're selling because there's a very famous line from a song, and I've mentioned it once or twice before, and the line goes, "I've become the kind of man I've always hated." And I think OG people don't want to become the man they always hated. I think they're getting out now, and maybe they're going to move on to something else. Maybe they're going to move on to AI. Maybe they're going to go and move on to some form of project where AI is being implemented to benefit the world in a different way. Maybe. But this is the follow-on now. Crypto has become boring because we won. Now, I tweeted that out yesterday before I got to this article. I just found the article and I thought, well, that makes it sound like I've written it. Once the Wild West of finance, crypto has matured into a Wall Street fixture with regulations and ETFs. We won. That's why crypto is boring. Now, what is the one thing I say? I've now put it, by the way, into my X bio because I want people to remember these are the three things that we have been asking for. These are the three things we've been asking for. We wanted to give crypto air. Adoption, interoperability, and regulation. Without all three of those things, crypto would not succeed, would not win. It needed adoption. People needed to use it. People need to talk about it. People need to get into altcoins, and even meme coins brought people on board. Interoperability. Think about your television or your computer. You connect to hundreds of thousands of websites all around the world, and they're all on different networks. They're all on different countries, different ISPs in those countries, and it all works in a seamless mesh because it's all interoperable. That's what Chainlink is going to fix. And we need regulation. This is a financial product, however you want to look about it. It needs regulation. Without any one of those three things, it does not work. And now we have all three. The regulation was the one thing that we didn't have until January, February, March this year, and we didn't have it in America. And now America adopts it. It's not America on their own. It's about the fact that America will lead the way and other countries will simply copy and paste the laws. That's what countries do. Smaller countries will go, we really like that law, we're going to copy it, and then we're going to implement it ourselves. European Court of Human Rights is based on the UK rule of law or UK law book. They basically copied it and then started to change it over time. Same thing. People will take something that they think works and then they will apply it in their jurisdiction. Now, I don't think this is applicable 2 years ago, but I think this is applicable today. Hacks, dumps, pumps, oh my. From major exchange collapses to China bans, Elon Musk pumps to COVID black swans, it's been quite a ride. Jamie Dimon lambasted Bitcoin as a fraud and threatened to fire anyone caught trading it at JP Morgan. Now the world's biggest banks are stacking stablecoins and Dimon admits crypto is real, stablecoins are real. JP Morgan invites clients to post Bitcoin and ETH as collateral to loans and launched its own Bitcoin rails. Are the crazy days behind us? Yes. Crypto is boring because so many of the open questions have been answered. We're all grown up and crypto is boring now. I don't think we've come this far. I don't think we've got actually to the very end yet, but we are approaching it, okay? We've crossed the Rubicon. There is no going back. We have ETFs. We have government adoption. It's come faster than I expected. We're not quite there yet, as we've just shown you with Balancer. There's still going to be stuff like that going on. So the Genius Act is going to be introduced. We know about that. That's like a stablecoin act where stablecoins have to adhere to it. We've got the Clarity Act. We're going to have the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Some of those things are not quite here yet. The vibes in the crypto group chats that I'm in are just sad, honestly. People completely giving up and pivoting to other asset classes if they haven't already. That's probably what most of you are feeling right now. And I am on board with that. I think we have entered a boring phase of crypto which has driven people into the ground. But it doesn't mean it's the end of the cycle. It doesn't mean it's the end of the bull run. And again, I'm going to be very careful not to say everything that I said in my video yesterday because the OGs are subscribers of the channel. So I have to keep a certain amount of information back for them because it's only fair. Now, even though only one of you has watched it since I put it up yesterday. But I can forgive you, it was Sunday. Now, if we look at where we are, you might think that this is some kind of end game. One day, when my eyes are fixed, I'll be able to do this kind of stuff and not muck up every time I bring it up. We can look at these periods of time, accumulation phase, redistribution phase, whatever you want to call them. And what happens after these phases is you have a move to the upside. Okay? And we can go back over Bitcoin's history. You can look back over Amazon. You can go back over Apple, over Tesla stock, and they have this sideways action. Now, this sideways action is just waiting to be played out. And I do not think that this is going to come down here and be game over. Okay? Because we've not had anything that we had in 2021. 2021, everybody's talking about us going to the moon. We are going to be so rich. We're going to be having Lambos covered in grass. We're going to have Lambos powered by fairy dust, all this kind of stuff. I don't remember a single person talking about stuff like that. Maybe Tom Lee saying $60,000 top for Ethereum. Maybe that was the top signal that we all missed. But this doesn't feel anything like the end of a bull run. The end of the bull run, if you remember, I was saying this is not the time for this to happen. And obviously it played out that way. Now is the time for it to happen. We've got a block of time here where we should move to the upside. Now, the sad news is, if we go off previous sideways actions like this, it lasts 3, 4, 5 months. We only started this in July. So August, September, October, November. We're only really 3.5 months in. So if we are going to continue to play out like this, then we could be coming down here to December. And then we know what happens in December. Nobody does anything at the end of December. So maybe we still have 6 weeks left. And maybe those 6 weeks are enough for us to move to the upside. But if we don't, I still don't think it's not the end of the bull run. I still don't think it's over. I just think we are in a redistribution phase of the OGs are selling and the BlackRocks of this world are buying, and they're changing hands. And those price action moves, Novogratz talked about the $9 billion sale of Bitcoin 3 or 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, whatever it might be. Maybe this is just the OGs saying sayonara and the men in suits buying the Bitcoin. And maybe that's just all it is. Maybe. There is proof that the OGs are selling. The wallets are being emptied. Fine. And they're selling. And the people buying are the BlackRocks of this world. So you can prove that. But what you can't do is say that Bitcoin is here, and because it's now 3 months behind this other random chart, which happens to be the growth of pineapples in Malaysia, that we're suddenly going to start following the pineapple chart in Malaysia. Cause and effect. OGs are selling, ETFs and treasury firms are buying. That is verifiable online. What isn't verifiable online is every other chart that people throw at you and say, this is the exact reason why Bitcoin isn't doing this. We've talked about this. There's a government shutdown. There's $1 trillion sitting on the side. We're starting to get rate cuts. Quantitative tightening is coming to the end. What is it, the 1st of December? 4 weeks away. None of that happened in 2021. 2021, we already had low rates and we had loads and loads of cash being pumped into the system, which was elevating us up. Where is all of that? Because it's not here. You can blame Trump. You can blame the Ukraine crisis. You can blame all things. But we had COVID in 2021. People weren't allowed out of the houses and we still ran to $69,500. So I just don't... we're not over, but we could be over if we're still here in March, April, May. So I wouldn't be too sad if I was you. I would just basically hodl and ignore the noise, and you will be richer than you were 6 months ago, I would say. Solana versus XRP, two blockchains, two very different growth stories. The long simmering rivalry between Solana and XRP holders is heating up again after a Solana Foundation manager publicly questioned whether the XRP ledger is keeping pace with the rest of the crypto market. In a fiery post on X, Vibhu, a growth manager at Solana Foundation, claimed that XRP's network activity shows barely any evolution. Despite the token's long history, he argued that XRP has become static while Solana's user base. Again, we're going back down towards the rivalry now. The cult-ish rivalry between chains that I want you all to stay out of. Okay? You are not married to Solana. You are not married to XRP. You are not married to Bitcoin, although Bitcoin is the closest you should get to having a fiance. Okay? You are not married to Cardano. They are simply methods for you to accumulate wealth and hopefully be able to buy more Bitcoin, or hopefully pay off a student loan or pay off your mortgage, whatever it might be. You're not married to any of them. Don't fall into this trap of becoming a Solana maxi or an ETH maxi or whatever it might be. Again, Raoul Pal, I'm bringing him up because he's the most famous example. You know the meme where the guy blinks? Raoul Pal was an ETH maxi, and then the guy blinked. Then he was a Sol maxi, and then the guy blinked, and then he was a Sui maxi. Okay? People change allegiances along the way. You are not or should not have any allegiance to any one chain. You can have favourite chains, favourite projects, of course you can. But if push comes to shove, if I say to you, XRP's at $7, Solana's at $500, do you sell them both? Your answer should be yes. Your answer should be yes. Not, well, I really like Solana, I'm going to keep it. If you bought Solana at $50 and you bought XRP at 70 cents and you've done 10x on both, you should be taking profits. Now, I've got to be very careful because the rules are changing on certain platforms, and I can't really talk about NFTs anymore. or especially NFTs with regards to other things that I'm not allowed to talk about either. So got to be very careful. And XRP has been targeted as a coin that people's videos are being taken down and stuff like that. So got to be very careful. The point of the matter is that you're going to see this kind of rivalry between chains from time to time. So Vibhu said, I want Ripple and XRP to succeed at an insane degree such that the entire industry moves forward, but the fact is that the community does not argue with facts, even though the data is readily available, and as a long-time engineer and truth seeker, that bothers me. And I'm not going to click on that because it takes me off. What I would say about this is, and this is one of those instances where, is he called Vibhu? Vibhu should stay in his lane. Vibhu should stay in his lane. As far as I'm concerned, both have merit. I've said both have had merit ever since we started streaming. I know XRP is hated by the majority of true believers because it's not really a decentralized blockchain, but who cares? Who cares? You know, people go to vegan restaurants all the time. I don't hate on them because they go to a vegan restaurant, their choice. If people hold XRP and have been holding it for 4 or 5 or 6 years, so be it. It's not our decision to tell people what to hold. It's our decision to say whether it's foolhardy or not, but you can't tell people, call people out for it. Same with Solana maxes. I remember when Solana was at $6 and people were absolutely tearing them a new bumhole, okay? And now look, it's gone from $6 or $12 up towards, what did it top out at, $280? Good for them. XRP went from 40 cents to $3.25. Good for them. Don't be one of those people that gets pulled into this them-us thing. There is no them-us. There is no them-us at all. It's you. Okay? There's no them. There's no us. There is you. You run your own race. And as I keep saying all the time, the one most important thing you need to do is you need to take profits. And that is the only rule. The only rule I can give you is to take profits. Because that's what you're here for. You're in crypto. You're not here for the tech. You're not here to benefit mankind. You're here to benefit you and your family. Charles Hoskinson responds to criticism of Cardano, DeFi, and ADA holders. There he is, the man in the cap with the lovely beard. Lovely beard. Charles has addressed criticism of Cardano DeFi activity, arguing that the problem lies in governance and coordination rather than tech. He dismissed claims that adding major stablecoins like USDT and USDC would automatically boost growth, noting Cardano already has strong native alternatives. Hoskinson outlines a roadmap linking Cardano with Bitcoin DeFi and real-world lending to attract real liquidity and foster accountability within the ecosystem. I'm not going to go through too much of this. What I will say is that I do think you are looking at a chain. When we talk about chains coming to a crossroads and they're going to be successful or they're going to fail, I don't think we need to talk about that when we talk about XRP or BNB or Solana or Ethereum or Bitcoin. And if you go through the top coins, which coins and which projects are at that crossroads in the top 10? Which coins are at that point where they could literally become a Litecoin? And Charles and Cardano are at that point, in my opinion. They are one of the best decentralized projects in the world. They have had a lot of success with their midnight airdrop. They've had a lot of success with their upgrades. Their upgrades have gone incredibly well. They have a very, very, very fervent support user base, clan, cult, whatever you want to call them. But the question is, how many times have I covered projects on Cardano on this channel in the last 2.5 years? I've talked about Ethereum projects, Bitcoin projects, Solana projects. I've talked about XRP launching its NFT DeFi systems. We've talked about the likes of Maple Finance. They now run on different layer 2s. They run on Plasma. They're going to run on Arc. They're running on Ethereum and Solana. So we've talked about projects going to multiple chains. Why do we never talk about Cardano? Now, the one thing, I'm really bullish on Cardano because of Charles. Not because of Cardano, because of Charles. I think this Bitcoin project that they're working on, this is their last hope. This is their last hope. This is it. And the reason this is it is because if they can crack it and do a really good job, then I think this gives them a reason to exist. At the minute, Cardano does not have a reason to exist. And I love the project and I love Charles. But what's its reason to exist? What purpose does it serve? And the Bitcoin layer 2, the Bitcoin sidechain, the Bitcoin liquidity, having a DeFi platform on Cardano that can tap into Bitcoin, that's a big one for me. But if they leave this too much longer, another year, another 6 months, Solana's going to overtake them. Ethereum layer 2s are going to overtake them. XRP is probably going to overtake them. You've got to, at some point, do something that people want to use. And I know that they're working on education systems, on healthcare system, on the voting system with Hedera in America. I know they're working on all of this. But Charles needs to deliver. Cardano needs to deliver. If we're sitting here in a year's time and they've done nothing, I would consider this a failed project. That's how close they are. Everything else, in my opinion, everything else is moving ahead, moving ahead, moving ahead. And Cardano, for a long time, was moving ahead with its upgrades. But what's it done in the last 3 months? It's all well and good Charles giving great speeches about, what he's in it for and how he's going to benefit mankind. But at the end of the day, this is a commercial project that has to do commercial things and has to add value and it has to make money. Where is that going to be? I think it has to be in Bitcoin. And if it doesn't do it in Bitcoin, where is it going to do? Where is it going to do it? Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on from this. I'm going to read some messages, actually. I haven't read messages in a long time. Manjeet is here. Plush Rahira, is Trump coin going to go up? I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. Today, after US markets opens, will it reach $8.30? I would not go anywhere near Trump coin. I wouldn't go anywhere near Melania, but this isn't financial advice. You can do what you want. Good morning, Danny. I hope you are well. Just keeping an eye on everything. Making sure everybody is caught up to date. I haven't managed to read Binance Square, but we'll go through that at the end. I want to explain a little bit about this giveaway that we do every week. Now, we're not going to talk too much about this because I have a funny feeling that we are at 11:50 and I want to talk about the last project more than this. Now, a few weeks ago, I had a pop at CZ because he said, don't listen to what I have to say. I'm just posting my opinions. And I very clearly said on here that you have to be careful about what you say because people listen to you and people do things based on what you say. So you can't say, oh, X, Y, or Z because people will follow you. Now, that's one side of it. The other side of it is where I'll defend him because although he needs to be careful what he says, the other side of that argument is if CZ doesn't admit to buying Aster or doesn't admit to buying any of these coins, people know his wallets. People know what he does with his wallets. Same with Vitalik. They know whose Vitalik's wallets are. So if CZ goes and buys Aster and doesn't tell anybody, somebody's going to uncover it, and then somebody's going to make an announcement and say, CZ is secretly buying Aster, something massive is going to happen. And then nothing massive happens, and then CZ gets the blame. So whereas I do believe that he should be careful what he says, I also believe he has a right to buy whatever coins he wants to buy. And if he feels that he should announce that, fine. I do think that is fair. Now, there was a time, many years ago, when the stock market in the UK, and probably elsewhere, there were a few people who were allowed to buy stocks and shares and not announce it. One was the Queen of England, the other was the Pope, and then there was somebody else, maybe 2 or 3 other people. They were able to buy stocks and shares and it not be announced. And the reason is twofold. Number one, if the Pope goes and buys stocks in Apple, for example, every Christian around the world will look at that as a papal endorsement of Apple or Amazon and just go and buy all the stock, right? Same with the Queen. Maybe there's a lot of very, very patriotic Englishmen out there. The Queen goes and buys, I don't know, Shell stock. It'll pump the price. So there are certain people who are allowed to not disclose their holdings and stuff like that. That does go on. And then the other side of that is, of course, that if the Queen goes and buys, let's say the Pope goes and buys Amazon stock. Pope buys some stock in Amazon. It's not really the Pope, is it? It's the Vatican buy stock. But you know what I mean? It's technically the Pope is the head. So then what happens is you'll get these sleuths. I don't call them sleuths. Call them shysters, shillers. They will go and find the worst possible thing that Amazon has ever done and say, the Pope endorses this on Amazon, or the Queen has bought stocks in a company that employs ex-convicts or something like that. And then so they just make this crap media out of it, crap content out of it. So you've got two sides of the coin there. And I think CZ's in the middle because no matter what you say, he is still somebody that the majority of people on crypto Twitter listen to. And quite rightly, I've followed him for about 4 years. I don't think, I could probably count on one hand things that he said that I've disagreed with, right? In 4 years of him tweeting, there's maybe 3 or 4 things I've not liked. Again, you don't cancel somebody because you don't agree with them. That's not how we should be working in this universe. So, should you go and buy Aster if CZ goes and buys Aster? No. You should go and buy Aster if you want to go and buy Aster, having looked at how much money they make and how much profit they make. And is there a growth scale that you think will take them to $5, $10, $15, $20? That's how you should do it. You shouldn't buy it because somebody else buys it. It's not the way the world works, okay? And much as all of these crypto calls will tell you Aster's going to do a 20x, whatever it might be, I gave you 4 picks, by the way, of coins that I was personally going to go and buy, which was Pump, World Liberty Finance, Aster, and one other. Can't remember what they were. They were the ones I was going to buy. Why? Because they've got bounceability. They bounce after a market correction. They bounced. Oh, it was Plasma, the layer 2 blockchain, or the layer 1 blockchain, sorry. But doesn't mean you should go and buy them. I'm telling you what I am buying. And I'm currently stacking my position in World Liberty Finance. I am getting staking rewards on Pump.fun. So I'm getting them. Plasma I've still got on 2 different exchanges. And I've got a little bit of Aster. Just the way I am. But I'm going to tell you, because I like to be open and above board. I haven't bought anything other than them in a long while, by the way. Right then. This is the last one I wanted to get onto. Soul Seeker. Ooh, we have a Soul Seeker. You just missed the article about Solana versus XRP. Right then, what are we going to talk about with this? Now, this is new. Tempo. The payments and stablecoin blockchain built by Stripe. Payments giant Stripe is helping build Tempo, a layer 1 blockchain focused on payments and stablecoins. Here's what you need to know. Now, again, this is really important to understand what is happening right now. We have Plasma, which is, in all intents and purposes, a Tether-related product. We have Arc, which is a Circle-related blockchain. Okay, both payments, processing blockchains. Maple Finance is on both of them. And now we have Tempo. Stripe is working with crypto venture firm Paradigm to build a new layer 1 network for payments and stablecoins. The network is in private testnet, being built with design inputs from global firms like OpenAI, Shopify, and Visa. Tempo will feature low fees, a payment-first user experience, and opt-in privacy features. Now, this isn't brand new. It's not revolutionary. And can the market cope with 3, 4, 5 of these blockchains? Absolutely it can. Because What we're seeing now is we're seeing the stable coins, we're seeing the Visas, the MasterCards, the American government, all that kind of stuff. They're all piling into stable coins because stable coins, they understand it's moving money along the blockchain, and it's removing banking fees, it's removing systems. You're onboarding the finance of the world in various different ways into the blockchain and various different blockchains. It doesn't mean you can't have Plasma, Arc and Tempo. You can have all three. Okay, there's multiple ways of doing this, and all we need is interoperability, that magical word that we talk about. Now, the total stablecoin market cap has grown to more than 300 billion on chain, according to DeFi Llama. The Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has previously said that 2 trillion market cap is reasonable for the asset class. Again, $2 trillion, $10 trillion, $20 trillion, it's an irrelevant number. Okay, they are obviously goals that they have. The more you onboard, the more you don't suddenly create that value, you're just moving it to a different place. So if we have a banking system that's got $1 trillion worth of cash in it, and you move it onto the blockchain, you don't create $2 billion worth of cash. That's creative accountancy in everybody's books. The same way, if you tokenize a building, the building is worth $2 million. You have $2 million of tokenized shares in that building. It's still the same number. So when he's talking about a $2 trillion market cap, it's only a 7x from where we are now. And we haven't really had adoption in terms of stablecoin adoption. We haven't seen payments being onboarded. You know, I mentioned to you the other day, I don't know if I did actually, Revolut, which is a mobile app for, basically it's like a, what did they used to call them now? It's like a bank on your mobile phone. There's another word for them that we don't use anymore because we're in Web3. But they are now allowing you to deposit stable coins into Revolut. I never thought I would see that day. Because what I have to do at the minute is take my stable coins from a wallet that I have on a blockchain. I have to send it to an exchange. I then have to add it to a card. I then have to charge that card from another wallet, from another account, to get the money from here to here. What I want to do is send my bank $1,000 in stable coins. Why can't I do that? Because the systems aren't in place. But now they will be. So when we talk about a $2 trillion, a $5 trillion, a $10 trillion market cap, it's completely irrelevant. Once it's adopted, that number is not important. Once it's adopted and you can send money in stablecoins around the world from bank A to bank B, you might have a bank account in rupees. I might have a bank account in pounds. We will agree that you will send me dollars. You send me $100 via your bank. Your bank converts it to dollars, sends it as Circle or Tether or whatever it might be to me, and my bank gets it. There is no other problem other than what your bank charges you for the exchange rate and what my bank charges me for the exchange rate. But I might keep it in dollars because maybe in the next 5 years, everything online is suddenly going to be in dollars. It's really weird nowadays to look at things in pounds because everything we do online is in dollars. And that's, of course, what the American government want. They want to keep everything in dollars. Why not? So that number is irrelevant, but Stripe are moving in. Expect PayPal to do something about this as well, and Venmo if they haven't done it. So it's a new EVM compatible layer 1 blockchain developed by Paradigm and Stripe. Unlike other layer 1 networks like Ethereum and Solana that are built for a wide variety of crypto activity, it's purposely designed for stablecoins and payments, banking on the experience that Stripe has. Again, think Plasma, think Arc, think Tempo. In addition to promised low fees, the blockchain will operate at around 100,000 transactions per second and come with specific features designed to best facilitate real-world payment use cases and help bring more capital on chain. There we go. We don't need to read any more about that. What I would say is that this kind of stuff is going to impact the world in a lot of great ways. One of the things that we worked on, or I worked on a very, very long time ago, was micro insurance transactions. I don't know if I've ever talked about this. I think I might have talked about it once before, where you're a farmer in Nigeria and you've got your cattle, and you want to get your cattle from your farm to the market. And along the way, 5 of your cattle fall in a ditch, break their legs, and have to be put down. That's an accident that at the minute there's no insurance for, because you can't afford to pay insurance for a year because it's too astronomical. But you, with a microtransaction, would be able to pay for a day's coverage or even a journey's coverage, covering you from your farm to the market. To do that with traditional insurance is pretty impossible. To do that with microtransactions is absolutely possible. So the farmer doesn't lose out unless it's fraud. The insurance company gains because they've taken on additional coverage but additional fees. And everybody kind of wins in that situation apart from the bank. And the banks don't deserve to win in certain instances because they've had years to sort this out and never done it. So stuff like this for microtransactions is going to be fantastic. If you want to go on a train journey or a plane journey from Edinburgh to London and you just want to be insured for that flight, not while you're in London, you can pay £2 for that insurance or £1.50, whatever it might be. That's where we want to be in the next 2 to 3 years. And this type of stuff is going to help everybody. Okay? Everyone is going to win. Right then, it is 12:03. I have absolutely overrun. Good afternoon, Tariq. Nice of you to join us. I need to go now, however, because I've got to prepare. Actually, give me 1 second. Let's see if I can bring up. No, I won't be able to do it. Right. On Wednesday, we have our next quiz night. It is Maple Finance. Maple Finance is on Wednesday. It's going to be tricky. I'm going to make it hard, okay? So those of you that were here last week, it was Halloween quiz. That was fun. Everybody enjoyed that. It was a little bit of crypto, a little bit of Halloween. I think this Wednesday is going to be strictly crypto because there's not much fun you can have with Maple Finance. You know, with Wolf Swap, we can talk about wolves and wolfy NFTs and stuff like that and memes. With Mew, we can obviously talk about cats and memes and stuff like that. But with Maple Finance, we're not going to talk about Canada or pancakes or Maple. They're a financial institution, financial product. So we're going to keep it very, very formal. We're going to go over what they've done in October, and we're going to go over 20, 25 quiz questions. It's going to be 5 winners on Binance, 3 winners on YouTube. So if you are here on Wednesday, same time, 7 p.m. Central European Time, you know where we are. Come and see us. Play along. It's a bit of fun. Now, thank you for watching. I hope you like the new background, by the way, Tariq. See? There, look. Got snow outside and a lovely warm fire over there. So I am nice and toasty with my Binance mug of coffee. Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, same time, same place. Have a great time, and I will see you then. And let's hope we don't go down below $100,000. It will make us all cry. Take care.